Good morning, everyone. Now, in continuing where we left off with the Battle of Vicksburg yesterday, as was mentioned, the actual city itself was heavily fortified. It was almost impossible to take it. It was too high up, it was too well entrenched, and the guns were too well placed. The Union could not take it head on. So even though Grant was under enormous pressure because, this was do or die for Grant. He had to make something happen here. His entire career was either going to advance or else it was going to be completely shut down based on his performance at Vicksburg. That's how everything was on the line. It got to where it was so bad, his wife Julia sent him a letter saying, hey, we're hearing it at home. I'm hearing what's happening to you. You should probably just attack that city and be done with this. This way they can get the pressure off you. And so, but Grant saw that he could not take it. The city was just too well defended. So he decided to head 30 miles south. Because he tried several different things. He tried building a canal. He tried digging down things. It couldn't work. So he headed 30 miles south, crossed over the Mississippi at the area around Fort Gibson, 30 miles south. And they actually won a decisive victory against the Confederates there. And then they went north and they took the capital city of Jackson. Now, another situation they were facing, as was happening all across the South, as the Union Army was coming, many slaves were abandoning their plantations and running toward the army. And Grant, like most Union commanders, were like, well, we don't know what to do with this situation. I'm here to fight a war. I don't know what to do with this. So initially he was not sure. So what he wound up deciding to do, against the counsel of his officers, he actually wound up saying, okay, well, if they're going to work with us, we might as well put them to work building our fortifications and trying to help us that way, and gathering food from other plantations that are abandoned, and at least keeping them, helping us out and helping them contributing. So that's one way that they began working, and African Americans began showing what they were made of just from that and through other situations where they fought and showed how valuable they were to the war effort. And so what he began doing also was, after he took Jackson, he headed west, and then the Confederates ran back into the fortifications. And on May the 19th, 1863, Grant ordered a full frontal assault on the Confederate fortifications there, ended in a bloody repulse. Things did not go well at all for the Union. And he ordered another one on May the 22nd. And in an exact same way, everything was going horrible. They could not break the Confederates in their positions. So what he began doing, that's where the siege began, on the 23rd of May, 1863. Or as Grant called it, they were going to outcamp the enemy. Now, a little more specifics on the city of Vicksburg was originally a city of about 5,000 people. But it had about 17,000 Confederate troops in there as well. So it was closed off from the entire world. It was crammed. There was no food. The city was being shelled from all sides, from gunboats from the river and from the army from the land. And the citizenry really had no choice but to go and to dig themselves and dig holes in the ground and live in caves outside the city limits. And the population was living off rations of mule meat and pea bread, and the place was starving. They couldn't get fresh water. Everything was going horribly. And the city of Vicksburg was actually commanded by a Union soldier by the name of John C. Pemberton, whose wife was in the South, so he decided to side with the South. And so they wasn't sure what else to do. So finally, one day he heard a knock on his door, and someone put a note under it, or one of his soldiers said, I'm not quoting it verbatim, but he said, if you value us, surrender us. They were starving. There was nothing else they can do. They couldn't fight. They were just being starved. And so eventually Pemberton did surrender the city of Vicksburg to Ulysses Grant on July the 4th, 1863. And it was such a disgrace to the people of Vicksburg and the people of the South. They thought, for one, because Pemberton was a northern man, they kind of thought that, well, if he'd been one of our boys, he would have fought on better, and this wouldn't have happened. But that's neither here nor there. You can't speak one way or the other, because we don't know what was in Pemberton's mind. And it was in such a disgrace to the people of Vicksburg in that situation where they refused to celebrate Independence Day until the beginning of the 20th century. So those are some of the thoughts on the Battle of Vicksburg. I strongly encourage you to research more of this on your own. I've given you some of the basics. So, if you like this video and you like the page, please go to it and leave a like. And also go and subscribe to my page, Grab and Go History. It'll help it out quite a bit. So, thanks folks. Have a good day.